Welcome to Earth.University's Passion Professors Podcast with your host, Earth.University co-founder and awesome Dream Momentum facilitator, Lindsay Andriotti. Here, you can learn about and connect with other passionate people who are changing the world, just like you.
All right, everybody, this is Lindsay Andriotti, and I'm here with the Passion Professors Podcast, and I'm your host. Today with me, I have Sharon Rolph from Washington State, who is actually an amazing human being, a bringer of light, a passion finder, and a person who loves to help people find their purpose. Sharon, welcome today.
Thank you, Lindsay. It's great to be here.
I'm so grateful for you taking some time to spend some quality time with me. I want you to just jump right in, actually, and tell people what it is that you do and what's your gift to the world. Because whenever you say it, I just find myself going, yay, I'm glad there's you. So please share with the world.
Well, I love to bring out the best in people, and I'm doing that now as a retirement coach and helping people all over the world to find their passion and purpose in retirement specifically. So here's how I describe myself. If maybe this fits for you. Have you been knocked off your feet recently by a transition like retirement, the passing of a spouse, becoming an empty nester, or a former caregiver, or maybe somebody you know has? It sometimes leaves people feeling confused, marginalized, perhaps invisible, useless, or even bored. And I've experienced some of this myself, and now I love helping people find a new clarity and a new direction in life, and so they can experience the ideal, a place to fit in, to matter and to make a difference. So I'm Sharon Rolph, the creator of Effortless Vitality Plan, the Fresh Courage podcast, and the Longevity Blueprint.
Wow, I can't wait to see the longevity blueprint. We're going to get to that in just a minute. This is a video that Sharon has created for the world, which is exciting. So tell me a little bit about how you work with retirees. I actually have two parents that are retirees, and I live currently in a neighborhood that is filled with people in Florida that have all retired to the land of sunshine. I'm just curious, how does your process go, and how do you work with people? Tell us about it.
Well, I've come to find out that retirement only usually addresses the financial planning side of it, but nobody seems to be addressing the emotional, the social, the structure, and the spiritual side of retirement, because can you really play golf 24/7?
No, I'm living proof. You can't do it.
It's a dream, but it's not fulfilling. And at some point you say, is this all there is? Mm-hmm. So sometimes we've forgotten who we are.
Yeah.
And, our work jobs kind of lull us sometimes into monotony.
Yes.
And I want to help people wake up to what do they love to do? Where did they leave their joy? There's some joy in retirement when there's a calendar. You get to make all the choices yourself, but grandkids fit some of the I matter to somebody element. But where can you actually fit in and make a difference in somebody else's life? In my podcast, like I've interviewed a guy that told about Habitat for Humanity, and you can actually take your travel trailer with you to going to your volunteering for Habitat, and you get to vacation and help somebody.
How fun would that be? That sounds like $2,000.
Explore the possibilities.
Well,
over and over and over in my podcast, I encourage people to explore the possibilities, because we've had these boxes of what life is like, and with the internet, it's blown all those boxes to pieces, and anything's possible.
I just love this, and I'll tell you, we're recording this at the time of a very high, intense change in humanity. For those of you who are listening to this much later, this is the period of time where many people adorn the face mask and walk outside if they can go outside. We're on lockdown or quarantine to ensure the non-passing of the COVID-19 virus. And what I'm really noticing, you would probably laugh hysterically, but at first, the first week of our quarantine, my neighbors, everybody kind of stayed inside. Nobody really did much. But we're now in about week 2.5. And I'm noticing that all the golf carts are coming out and people are forming 6 feet circles, around in order to be able to do social distancing, but still have communication. And I think what you're speaking to is the social and the spiritual aspect of what does it mean to retire? So we live right now in a time where literally everything is kind of halted and you can create your schedule any way you want. But if you don't have a plan or an idea for how you want your social life and your spiritual life to be, you might miss the mark. Can you say a little bit more about that, what you see?
Well, yeah, because I love reading books written by hospice nurses who have been with people in their last days. And they say out of the 5 things that is most common in people's story, I think number 3 is, I wish I'd let myself be happier.
Wow. Let
Profound.
myself be happier. That is profound. Wow.
And how do we miss not being happy when we've got such a land of abundance? And again, that monotony of doing things every day and come and go. But the first book I read in retirement after I was in coaching school at the time was Martha Beck's book, The Joy Diet.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
And she had 10 items on her menu that she wanted you to spend a week on each one. And the first one was profound. Well, they all were profound because she addressed it from a little bit different angle than you would expect. But the first one was to do nothing for like 10 or 15 minutes a day. And it was a whole listening to what bubbles up, that still small voice inside of us. We really have not heard that much about that importance. But now with HeartMath documenting and telling us how coherence with your brain and your heart makes such a difference, that you actually are better off in life when you're listening to that wisdom inside of us. I bet you've experienced that, Lindsay.
Oh, 100%. And you're speaking my language right now, because I've always said, how great would it be for people who are moving into that transition called retirement, if they could see it as the ultimate next chapter in the story they're writing, as opposed to the thing they're supposed to do after they've worked all those many hard years. I love what you're saying.
I'm expecting to live another 30 years, and I better get into a plan here, because you know why? When I retired and I started after the insurance papers and the Medicare and all that, there's just 4 walls. What are you going to do in 4 walls and feel productive? And in this quarantine time, feeling productive is again challenged. So when I realized that I had written my essence statement that I made in coaching school, I would read that 2 or 3 times a day, because that would center me. And I realized every day was a productive day when I was coming from that best of me, Sharon.
Yes.
Because my time would be well spent. And I want to help everybody to find and describe their center, their core of who they are. We can't see inside you, Lindsay.
No, we can't.
Nobody.
But I can. You're speaking to the Earth.University choir here. We talk about finding the PhD in you, which is your personal hyperdrive. And if you start to find that thing that is you, the aligned you, then all of a sudden, every choice you make and everything you experience in life just amps up and gets that much better. And I love what you're saying here, Sharon. So tell us a little bit about, let's say I'm ready to retire and I find you and I want to come talk to you. Tell us a little bit about the process. What do you go through?
Well, I start asking you by how much questions that kind of like, how much do you know yourself? Like, do you have a favorite pet or favorite friend or favorite hobby? And if you don't know those, then we're going to be kind of slow in this process.
Yep.
Start there, and then we'll take the next step. But I want to help people plan how are they going to be socially active. I actually had a guy at the senior center here that said, when I told him the first thing I learned about from the senior centers is that they're combating isolation. He says, yeah, that isolation got to me. He says, I became an alcoholic.
Oh, wow.
That was a time I realized there's a dark side to retirement nobody talks about. Another statistics that high is suicide.
Ooh, among
Yeah.
seniors, really? Senior suicide goes way up. Interesting.
Yeah. So and I think men are especially this way. They're used to the wife, pulling on their sleeve and honey, let's go do whatever. Let's she's in charge of your calendar. And if your wife has passed on, or if you're single, you're the one that has to manage that calendar. And if you don't, isolation sets in. The downside of isolation, besides suicide and alcoholism, is increased cost of your health care, because it leads to depression, and depression leads to higher rates of illnesses.
Wow. So what are some hot tips for managing your social, life after retirement? Are there some key things that you like to focus in on to help people with that piece?
Yeah. One of the tips I got out of John Maxwell's book on leadership, he said he asked 5 questions of people, and he uses these to talk about both leadership and leadership, but I think they apply very nicely to retirement too.
Everything.
What makes me sing? Well, that might be a tip to your joy.
Yes.
What makes me sing? What makes me cry? I think that leads us to, what do we have compassion for?
Yeah.
What makes me dream is part of that. What's possible out there that I'm willing to step out, because I like to say, how can I not, I can't do that. How can I keep that inquisitive subconscious engaged?
Yeah.
What makes me excel might have been gone all the way back to 5 or 6 years old, when you had a little booth out on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
It could have been the score that you won a game with, or ran a marathon. It could be, I like to sew and put colors together. So that's maybe where I excel. And the last question, I always loved uniqueness. And the last one says, what makes me different? What makes Lindsay different? What makes me different? How often have we said that difference is, especially in school? And this is the age where we can embrace what makes us different.
I love that.
That's where innovation actually bubbles up from.
Yes, and I love how you're speaking about that. I used to actually teach a course called What Makes You Unique, with a Y-O-U, unique. And I loved that course because it was really fun to watch how people came through and shared their gift and what is unique about them. And you're talking about something that's really kind of cool here, the 5 questions, and how to think about your life in a broader context as you're moving forward into a new chapter. I can see totally how that would be applicable to someone facing retirement. They could ask it before they get to the last day of work or whatever. I love that. And it seems like it would make sense for them to come find you before then. If you're a year away from retirement, listener, this would be a good time to reach out to Sharon, because honestly, this is the time to start thinking about, how do you want it to be? And I just love that.
Well, and I'd love to come be a speaker for a group that either you manage or lead, or, because I
Perfect.
I am getting a pulling in my spirit to speak. I want this to go around the world, because us boomers are everywhere, and I think this, especially with this pandemic going on, I
Mm.
think there's going to be more talk to us, help us understand civility, relationships.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're absolutely right. And more shifts to come in even what retirement looks like. I was chatting with a few neighbors yesterday and literally just asking them, well, what is it that you haven't done yet? Not a bucket list, but just a what information, what wisdom do you have that needs to get shared with others that hasn't been shared yet? And they're starting to think about, oh my gosh, I know how to fix cars. I know how to, and fill in the blank. And it's that wisdom that's been lying dormant that needs to get out there. Part of the reason for this podcast that we're having right here, right now. There's so much that we have to give. And our passion has led us to exactly the right place where we are here right now. So
So I've been doing some podcasts myself for the last year.
awesome.
The first one was called Maximize Retirement, and then currently I'm wrapping up the Fresh Courage podcast. They're both the same thing, where I'm interviewing people who have done, showing us the way for a good retirement. Like one lady talked about how she walked the El Camino Santiago Trail.
In Spain. Oh my goodness, that's
Wow.
amazing.
The first gal I had, she had done planned a whole year of doing community service around the world. Her book
Wow.
is now called Smiling at the World, and she had been a realtor here in Seattle and just felt such a need to expand her heart, and she spent a month in 12 different countries. She wound up feeding baby lions, riding elephants, working at a baboon sanctuary. Talk about explore the possibilities.
That's beautiful. And I'm totally digging the fact that somebody just decided that's what I'm going to go do and experience in life. Powerful stuff. It's powerful just to get to know a new person for someone who's been shy their whole life. There's ways we can break out of our comfort zone, and there's ways that we can stay in it. And I believe that every day of life is meant to at least push the edges just a little bit. So,
and every day matters. The
every day
smallest
matters.
thing that you do in talking to your neighbors, for example, you probably stirred some questions in their mind, and now they might talk in their circle, and change starts happening.
I just love it. Well, Sharon, it is delightful to know you. Your passion is very clear, and we would love to be in service to you. How can the rest of the world who's listening to this be in service to your passion getting out?
Well, my website is effortlessvitality.org, and this week or next we'll have a new website up. But if you're experiencing confusion, clarity, feeling invisible or bored, I went through the being invisible all my life. I was the only one in my family that went to college, and there used to be a joke. Yeah, you're standing in a field. I was outstanding in that field. It's like, but the uniqueness of you is now being embraced more about life. And if you can dream it, it's possible. So let's see, where was I going to go with this?
Well, tell us how we can reach you too, so that you have effortlessvitality.org, and you have your podcast. Where is it on? Is it on Spotify? Where would we find it?
Yes, it is on Spotify and Spreaker.
Okay.
So my last name is Rolph, so Sharon Rolph. And you might find it under Fresh Courage Sharon, because there's a couple that are kind of similar name. I'm on YouTube, and I actually have some vlogs. I'm not doing as much on vlogs, but I love helping people think. And my vlogs are always asking a question, and I'm holding up my little art blocks that I make. And for example, Frederick Buchner says, your vocation is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. That would be ideal in retirement when you no longer have to punch a clock and do somebody else's work. You get to do your own work, and what you do should bring you energy. So I'd love to. I'm at Sharon@effortlessvitality.org. My phone number is 425-877-6655, and I'd love to speak to your group,
Cool.
to your association, and I've got like 50 podcasts out there that you can listen to anytime.
Yay, Sharon. Well, my dear, thank you so much for being with us here today and being part of the Earth.University evolution of humanity. We are so grateful to have you in our lives and that you love to give your gift. Thank you. And for those of you who are listening, oh, you're so welcome. And for those of our listeners who are with us still, we just want to say we love you. We appreciate you. We're so grateful that you too also share your passion in the world. And we look forward to meeting you one day as a passion professor. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today at Earth University, where you can find transformation education and the PhD in you. All of the information about our Passion Professor today can be found below. To connect with us, please find us on LinkedIn or at www.earth.university. Thank you for being you.